Thank you for that introduction, Camille. Hey everyone, welcome to AI Fundamentals. Less fuss, more plus. Before we begin, I like to be upfront and let you know I'm not a human. I'm actually a clone of Evan Van Dyke, who created this presentation. Evan is on standby and will be live at the end to answer your questions. The real Evan and I are excited to spend the next hour with you while we explore how AI can transform your workflow and help you reclaim hundreds of hours while delivering better results. Today, we'll be covering a lot of topics from understanding how AI works to practical frameworks for getting the most out of these tools. Throughout our session today, I'll be inviting you to participate in a few short activities. These are designed to get you thinking about how AI can fit into your specific workflow and challenges. Before we dive in, though, I want to address something important. AI is not magic. It's not something you can't learn or explain. All you need to do is slow down, have the right mindset, and you can get better results much faster. Learning this new technology is fundamentally different from learning traditional software. With conventional programs, you memorize specific workflows and features. This new approach is more about effective communication, thoughtful delegation, and adapting your thinking process to embrace these new tools. In the next 45 minutes, we'll cover how AI actually works in simple terms, the productivity benefits of working AI first, a comparison of major AI platforms and their strengths, the prime framework for creating effective prompts, power user techniques, how to build your own custom chatbots, and ethical considerations for creative professionals. By the end of this training, you'll have a clear plan for how to implement these tools to save time and enhance your work. But first, let's get started with understanding what's actually going on under the hood of these systems. There are different types of AI. Today, we'll be primarily focused on generative AI models like ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini. These models were trained on incredibly large amounts of data that basically encompasses all of human knowledge. We're talking about everything from ancient texts to modern websites, academic papers to social media posts. It's a massive collection that represents pretty much everything humans have written down. During training, the AI identifies patterns in this data and uses them to generate its responses. When you input a prompt, the AI analyzes it and, based on the patterns it learned, predicts what response would make the most sense. For example, when you type something like, "The capital of France is," the AI is likely to predict the next word to be Paris. This happens because the word Paris appeared frequently after that specific sequence of words in its training data. The same process applies to more complex questions. If you asked, what would be a good price point for a premium coffee subscription service? No, the AI isn't accessing a database of coffee subscription prices. Instead, it's using patterns it learned about coffee, subscription services, premium products, and pricing strategies to generate what it predicts is a reasonable answer. This is why the quality of your input is super crucial. It can only respond based on the information and context you provide, combined with the patterns it learned during training. We'll talk more about this later. I find it helpful to think of artificial intelligence as a collaborative partner rather than just a tool. It's like working with someone who has read virtually everything conceivable, but needs your guidance to apply that knowledge effectively. When you're collaborating with AI, clarity is key. Just like when working with a new team member, being specific about what you want, understanding the capabilities and limitations, and providing clear context leads to better outcomes. Don't expect perfection on the first try. Instead, aim for progress through iteration. Start with a clear request. Review what you get back, refine your approach, and try again. This step-by-step process often yields impressive results, even if the first attempt isn't quite what you wanted. To get better results with AI, I've found these 3 mindset shifts particularly valuable. First, remember that AI models are intentionally broad. They're designed to handle a wide range of tasks, which means they aren't specialized by default. Your expertise and specific guidance are what transform generic outputs into valuable, tailored results. The more context and expertise you bring to the conversation, the better. Second, provide context about yourself and your needs. AI doesn't automatically know your background, preferences, or specific situation. When I'm working with AI, I've found it useful to briefly explain relevant details about my project, audience, or goals. This context helps to generate more relevant responses. And third, quality in equals quality out. If you're getting disappointing results, look first at the quality of your inputs. Vague requests typically yield vague outputs. This isn't the AI's fault. It's responding to the level of detail you've provided. By keeping these principles in mind, you'll find yourself getting increasingly valuable results, and the process will become more intuitive over time. Remember, AI isn't magic. It's a powerful tool that becomes more effective the better you learn to communicate with it. To illustrate this point, let's play a little game. On the left side of your screen are 3 different prompts I used to ask ChatGPT for a presentation title. On the right are the 3 titles that were created, but they've been shuffled. Which prompt do you think produced which title? Take a few moments to see if you can match which prompt created which output. Okay, let's see the connections. Prompt 1 was the most basic request, simply asking for a presentation title about AI for business with no specifics. The AI responded with output B, revolutionizing business, harnessing AI for next generation innovation. This is a generic title full of buzzwords. It's not bad, but it could apply to virtually any AI business presentation and is quite generic. Prompt 2 provided more direction, specifically mentioning workplace productivity. The output for this prompt is output C. AI at work, supercharging innovation and productivity in the modern workplace. This is better than the first, but still uses fairly standard language. And finally, the result for prompt 3 is output A. Practical AI. Save time, skip the jargon. This was much more specific. The prompt described the audience as being busy professionals, their pain point, the desired focus of time-saving benefits, and even formatting guidance. This is concise, targeted, and addressing exactly what we specified. Notice how the quality of input dramatically affected the quality of output. This simple example demonstrates why investing time in better prompts pays off. This brings us back to our quality in equals quality out principle. When you're specific about what you want and provide clear context, AI can deliver much more targeted results. AI models like ChatGPT are generic by design. So if you're frustrated with getting generic results, then consider what your input is. The more guidance you give it, the better and less generic your results will be. Remember that AI doesn't know anything about you out of the box. With these principles in mind, let's explore how working with an AI-first mindset can transform your productivity. What do I mean by working with AI first? It's a simple but powerful approach. Whenever you're starting a task, facing a challenge, or looking to improve a process, you first consider how artificial intelligence can be leveraged. This isn't about removing humans from the equation. Rather, it's about leveraging this technology for the tedious, repetitive parts of work so you can amplify the creative and strategic elements where you truly shine. Let me break this down into 3 distinct productivity boosters. First, it's about reducing decision fatigue to eliminate those mental roadblocks that slow down your work. Second, it's about streamlining communication workflows in order to cut through the endless back and forth that consumes so much of your day. Third, it's about accelerating your learning and research by transforming how quickly you can absorb and apply new information. Let's explore each of these in more detail. The average professional makes thousands of small decisions daily, and this cognitive load is exhausting. Research suggests that we make around 35,000 decisions each day, and by the end of the day, our decision quality deteriorates significantly. Think about how many times you've stared at a blank document, unsure how to start an email, report, or presentation, or how much mental energy you've spent organizing your thoughts before a client meeting. If you spend just 15 minutes daily on these types of decisions, that adds up to more than 60 hours annually. By utilizing AI for an initial outline, a structure for your thoughts, or a framework for your approach, you can significantly reduce this decision fatigue. For example, instead of spending 30 minutes figuring out how to structure a quarterly review, you could ask AI to create an outline for a quarterly review presentation that highlights your marketing performance, customer retention challenges, and strategic opportunities for the fourth quarter. With this as a starting point, you can spend more time refining and personalizing your quarterly review presentation instead of starting from scratch and wasting your valuable time futzing around while you try to figure out how to get started. Communication takes up an enormous portion of our workday. The average professional spends about 28% of their work week managing emails alone. Add in meetings and Slack messages, and communication easily consumes the majority of your time. When you adopt an AI-first approach to communication, you can reclaim hours each week. For instance, when drafting responses to common client questions, reviewing team updates, or preparing meeting agendas, AI can help establish a solid foundation that you then personalize. I've found that using AI to help draft initial communications can reduce time spent on routine emails by up to 75%. For a professional sending a lot of emails daily, that means saving hundreds of hours per year. The key here isn't replacing your voice or perspective, but streamlining the process. You're still the one adding the personal touches, strategic insights, and relationship building elements that only humans can provide. The third area where an AI-first approach dramatically boosts productivity is in learning and research. Think about how our access to information has evolved over time. Not long ago, researching meant a trip to the library, manually searching through card catalogs and looking through stacks of books to find relevant information. Or if your parents were like mine and wanted to invest in your education, you might have had those 30-volume Encyclopedia Britannica sets gathering dust in your living room. You know, those massive books that were outdated the moment they arrived but still cost more than a family vacation. Then, the internet revolutionized this process. Suddenly we could Google anything and get instant results. No more encyclopedia sets or library visits. Information was at our fingertips. But even with Google, there's still significant friction in the process. You still have to search, scan through results, click on promising links, visit different websites, determine if they're trustworthy sources, then read through content to extract what you need. Often, you'll need to visit multiple sites to piece together a complete understanding. We're at the beginning of the next massive leap in this evolution. Rather than just giving you links to information, AI can instantly synthesize knowledge from across billions of sources, delivering a cohesive answer that integrates diverse perspectives. It's like having a research assistant who's read everything ever written and can summarize it specifically for your needs. Whether you're exploring a new industry trend, preparing for a client in an unfamiliar sector, or staying current in your field, artificial intelligence can dramatically accelerate the process. For example, when approaching a new client project, instead of spending hours reading industry reports and news articles, you could ask AI to create a knowledge map of the industry, highlighting key players, recent trends, and potential disruptions. This doesn't replace your own analysis, but gives you a substantial head start. If you spend just 5 hours weekly on research and learning, which is a conservative estimate for most professionals, an AI-first approach could reduce this by 40%, saving you over 100 hours annually. More importantly, It allows you to spend that time on deeper analysis and creative thinking rather than basic information gathering. When we add up these three areas, the potential time savings easily exceed 500 hours per year. That's more than 12 standard work weeks. But this isn't just about efficiency. It's about intentionally redirecting your time and mental energy toward high-value work that's meaningful, creative, and fulfilling. It's about removing the friction that drains your enthusiasm and focus. Working AI first is a practice that becomes more natural over time. You can start by identifying one small area where you can implement this approach today, then gradually expand as you become more comfortable with the process. Now let's see what an AI first mindset looks like in practice with an exercise. I'm going to show you several common work tasks. Your job is to decide whether or not each task would be appropriate for an AI first approach. Remember, working with an AI first mindset involves considering how you can leverage this technology before beginning a task, not just using AI as an afterthought. Let's see how well you can identify opportunities for AI first workflows. Here's our first task, creating a weekly team status report. Would this be appropriate for an AI first approach? Take a moment to decide. This task is perfect for an AI first approach. Before you even start drafting, you could have AI analyze your project management data, compile metrics, and create initial summaries of progress. You'd still review everything and add your insights, but the AI has handled all the preliminary work. What used to take 3 hours might now take just 45 minutes, and you might discover patterns in the data you wouldn't have noticed otherwise. Here's our next task. Delivering difficult feedback to a team member. Would this be appropriate for an AI first approach? Think about it for a moment. Were you questioning this one? If so, you're right. This is not ideal for an AI first approach. While AI could help you prepare by suggesting talking points or effective phrasing, the actual conversation requires emotional intelligence, relationship context, and the ability to adapt to the other person's reactions in real time. This is primarily a human task where AI might play a supporting role in preparation, but shouldn't be the starting point for the core activity. And for our final task, creating a client proposal. Would this be appropriate for an AI first approach? Client proposals are definitely well suited for an AI first approach. Instead of staring at a blank document, you could start by having AI research the client's industry, analyze your past successful proposals, and generate an optimized structure. You could then have AI create an initial draft, which you'd refine with your expertise and personal touches. If this was a massive proposal, this approach can transform what could have been a 14-hour process into just 4 to 5 hours, while potentially improving the quality and personalization. As you can see, working AI first isn't appropriate for everything. The key is understanding which tasks benefit from starting with AI and which are better served primarily by humans. By identifying where an AI first approach makes sense in your workflow, you can dramatically reduce time spent on tedious tasks and instead focus your energy on work that requires your unique human judgment, creativity, and emotional intelligence. Now, let's talk about how to choose the right AI tool for different tasks. I've spent countless hours testing different AI platforms. Instead of giving you an exhaustive comparison of every feature, we'll focus on what really matters and how to quickly choose the right AI for your specific needs. Here's the most important insight I've discovered. The differences between major AI platforms are often less significant than people think, and they're constantly changing with each update. What matters far more is how you communicate with them. With that said, understanding the general strengths of each platform can help you work more efficiently. Let's look at what each major platform does particularly well. When you use different AI models like ChatGPT, Claude, or others, you'll notice they each have slightly different personalities and capabilities. This happens because each company developing these models has their own philosophy, training approach, and optimization goals. OpenAI has designed ChatGPT with a particular focus on reasoning capabilities. It excels at breaking down complex problems, organizing information logically, and explaining concepts step by step. It can also access current information through web browsing. Claude was developed with a focus on being helpful, harmless, and honest. Anthropic has put particular emphasis on Claude's ability to understand and follow complex, nuanced instructions. It's more conversational with more human-like responses. It's excellent at adopting specific writing styles or voices. Basically, Claude tends to excel when you need creative content that sounds naturally human. Perplexity differentiates itself with real-time search capabilities, making it particularly valuable for current information. Some of the key strengths of Perplexity include access to current web information in real time. It provides links to the sources for its information, and it's excellent for research on recent events or topics. Think of Perplexity as your go-to when you need current information or want to quickly research a topic with cited sources. Other notable platforms include Google's Gemini and Microsoft's Copilot. Gemini has excellent integration with Google's ecosystem and strong multimodal capabilities, including handling text, images, and data. Copilot shines in Microsoft Office integration, making it valuable for those who are heavily invested in the Microsoft ecosystem. Instead of getting bogged down in technical comparisons, here's a practical approach to choosing the right AI for your specific needs. If you need to analyze data in a structured way, go with ChatGPT. If you need help with creative writing and long document processing, Claude is going to be the most helpful. When you are doing up-to-date research or fact-checking and want to verify the sources, Perplexity will shine. If you work extensively within Google's ecosystem, Gemini is a good choice. And for those heavily invested in the Microsoft ecosystem, Copilot provides a seamless integration. Remember that if you are not happy with the results from any platform, focus first on improving your prompt rather than switching models. Equipped with this knowledge, you're ready to move on to one of the most important skills for effective AI use, creating effective prompts so that you can get consistent, great results. I've developed what I call the PRIME framework. This framework helps you guide AI with structured prompts, resulting in much better outputs. The name PRIME works on two levels. It's an acronym where each letter, P, R, I, M, and E, represents a key component of the framework. It also refers to priming the AI by preparing it for optimal results, just like you would prime a wall before applying the paint. That initial coat creates the ideal surface for paint to adhere to and look its best. Skip the primer, and even the most expensive paint might look blotchy or peel prematurely. It's the same with AI. Without proper priming, you're not going to get consistent, high-quality results. The letters in PRIME represent the following. P, personality. Define what role or perspective you want the AI to adopt. This sets the tone and expertise level. R, recap. Provide essential context and background information the AI needs to understand your request. I, include. Clearly specify what must be included in the output. This is your success criteria. M, markdown. Use structural elements like headers and bullet points to organize your prompt clearly that AI understands best. E, examples. Show the AI what good output looks like with examples if you have them. When you prime the AI with this framework, you're creating a foundation for quality results. It's a small investment upfront that pays off consistently with much better outcomes. I'll demonstrate this with a practical example. Let's say you're a chef who wants to create an email announcing an upcoming workshop. A basic prompt that someone might use would be, write an email about my upcoming cooking skills workshop. When we transform this basic prompt into a fully primed prompt, here's what it would look like. Starting with P, personality. Notice how specific this is. We're not just asking for any email. We're instructing the AI to adopt the role of an experienced email copywriter with expertise in writing newsletters. We're also defining the tone we want, conversational and warm, and even the goal of driving reader engagement. Moving to R, recap. This is where you provide context that the AI couldn't possibly know otherwise. Look at how detailed this is. We've specified the type of business, monthly cooking workshop series called Kitchen Confidence. Our target audience, young professionals 25 to 35. Their specific pain point, intimidated by complicated recipes. Our business history, operating for 2 years with 500 subscribers. And the specific event details, Knife Skills Workshop on April 15th. Without this context, the AI would be guessing about all these important elements, which increases the chances of it hallucinating. Then, for I, include. These are the specific elements that you want in the final output. Notice how each requirement is clear and specific. We don't just want a subject line, we want an attention-grabbing one. We're specifying exactly 3 key benefits, not 2 or 5. We're requiring a testimonial and a clear call to action. And we've even specified the word count. For the letter M, Markdown, Markdown is simply a way to format text using special characters, like using hashtags for headers and hyphens for bullet points. Notice how the entire prompt uses this clear formatting with headers, bullet points, and intentional spacing. This organization makes it easier for the AI to understand the structure of your request. Even if you are not familiar with Markdown, the key idea is to organize your prompt with clear visual structure rather than writing one giant paragraph. Think of this as the information architecture of your prompt. Finally, E, examples. This is incredibly powerful. We're showing the AI exactly what success looks like. Notice how this example demonstrates the tone, formatting, and style we want. It includes specific phrases that address the audience's challenges and gives an example of an effective call to action. By providing this complete prime framework, we're setting the AI up for success from the beginning, just like properly priming a wall before painting. The result will be a high-quality, targeted email that actually meets our specific needs, not just a generic message that could be about any workshop. Now that you're familiar with the prime framework, let's put your knowledge to the test with another challenge. For this one, I'll show you 5 examples of content that would appear in a well-structured prime prompt. Your job is to identify which prime element each example represents. How well can you recognize these elements in practice? Here's our first example. Which prime element does this represent? Is it P, personality, describing the AI's personality? R, recap, including context about the situation and goals? I, include, elements specifying what must be in the output? M, markdown, formatting and organizing the content in a way that makes it easier for the AI to understand? Or E, example, showing what good output looks like? Take a moment and make your guess. This is an E element, examples. Examples show the AI exactly what good output looks like. This sample email demonstrates the tone, structure, and content that worked well in a previous campaign. Examples are helpful because they allow the AI to pattern match against successful content, which dramatically improves consistency and quality. This is especially valuable when you need outputs that match your brand voice. Here's our second example. Looking at this list of requirements, which prime element does this represent? This is an I element, include. The include section specifies exactly what must be included in the output. This example clearly outlines the required components and provides constraints. The include element functions as your success criteria. It makes it clear what needs to be in the final output for it to meet your needs. Take a look at our third example. Which prime element is represented here? This is a P element, personality. When you see language that defines a role, expertise level, or communication style for the AI to adopt, you're looking at the personality element. This example clearly establishes the role, expertise area, and communication approach. Effective personality statements help the AI understand who it should be when responding to your request. Now, for our fourth example, notice how this prompt is structured. Which prime element does this formatting approach represent? This is an example of M, Markdown. In the prime framework, Markdown refers to how you organize and format your prompt, using elements like hashtags for headers, hyphens for bullet points, and clear spacing. This structured formatting makes your prompt easier for the AI to parse and understand. Similar to how having good document formatting helps humans navigate content more effectively, well-organized prompts help AI systems process your instructions more accurately. And here's our final example. Which prime element is represented in this text? This is an R element. Recap. Recap provides essential context about your situation, audience, and objectives. This example explains who the audience is, their knowledge level, their concerns, and the format constraints. Without this context, the AI might generate content that's too technical, doesn't address cost concerns, or isn't appropriate for the time constraints. So, how did you do? Being able to identify each prime element is the first step toward creating effective prompts. Remember, in order to prime your prompts, you should include P. Personality defines the role and tone the AI should adopt. R. Recap provides essential context about your situation and goals. I. Include specifies what must be in the output, your success criteria. M. Markdown instructions for formatting and organizing the content. E. Examples shows what good output looks like. The most effective prompts often use all 5 elements, but depending on your specific needs, you might emphasize certain elements more than others. In your own work, try to identify which element you typically omit in your prompts. Adding that missing piece might be the key to getting significantly better results. Now that you understand how to create a prime prompt, let's talk about an effective way to refine them. When most people use AI tools, they follow this pattern. Write a prompt. Get a response that isn't what they wanted. Reply with feedback. Get another response. Reply with more feedback. And repeat this over and over again until their messaging thread is longer than the terms and conditions that nobody ever actually reads. But there's a simpler and more effective approach. Just edit your original prompt. Here's how it works. First, write your initial prime prompt. Then, review the response. If it's not quite right, edit your original message instead of replying in the thread. Next, save and run the edited prompt again to get a fresh response. Finally, continue this refining process until you get exactly what you want. This approach gives you several advantages. Cleaner conversations without long reply chains. More consistent results because the AI isn't trying to reconcile different instructions. And your final prompt could be potentially converted into a reusable template. Most AI platforms have an option to edit your prompt. Look for a pencil icon, 3 dots menu, or similar editing symbol near your original message. And here's another helpful tip. If you see the AI starting to generate a response that's heading in the wrong direction, you can usually stop at mid-generation by clicking a stop button or pressing escape. This lets you quickly edit your prompt and try again without waiting for a complete response that you won't use. Once you've refined your prompt to perfection using the edit approach, you don't want to let it disappear into the ether of your chat history. This is where reusable prompt templates come in handy. But what exactly is a prompt template? A prompt template is simply a prompt that's been refined and where you can identify parts of it that might change slightly from use to use and turn those into variable placeholders. This lets you reuse the same prompt structure for different scenarios without having to rewrite everything. To convert a prompt into a template, just think about what inputs might vary each time you want to run that specific prompt. These are your variable placeholders. I typically mark variables with angle brackets, the greater than and less than symbols, and include a brief description of what should go there. This serves as an asset for you or anyone else who might use this template in the future. For example, if we take our workshop email prompt from before, we might convert it to a template like this. Looking at this template, notice the first angle brackets under the personality section that says industry. These angle brackets are a placeholder with a short description of what to fill in when the template is used. For example, you might replace industry with tech, healthcare, or finance, depending on your specific needs. Similarly, under the recap section, you'd replace frequency with something like weekly, monthly, or quarterly. Each placeholder follows the same pattern, angle brackets containing a brief descriptive term that reminds you what type of information belongs there. This makes your templates intuitive to use, even if you haven't looked at them in months. When creating your own templates, try to keep these placeholder descriptions concise but clear. You want it to be scannable while still communicating what's needed. You can use this type of template for any announcement email by just filling in the placeholders. When you find yourself repeating similar tasks, creating a template can save you tons of time. As you create more and more prompt templates, it's easy to get disorganized and lose your hard work. Having a simple system to store and organize your prompt templates can save you some serious headaches. A Google Doc, Notion page, or even a dedicated text file can work well. I recommend organizing prompts by category or use case and including some brief notes about what each prompt template does and when to use it. This creates a valuable library of prompt assets that you and your team can access anytime, saving you hours of repetitive work. Over time, this simple change in how you interact with AI tools can dramatically improve your results and workflow efficiencies. Are you ready to really take your AI game to the next level? If you answered yes, then your library of prompt templates will become even more valuable. I'll explain why as we dive deeper into getting even more out of AI by learning how to build your own army of custom chatbots. Creating a tailored chatbot specifically designed for your needs can dramatically amplify your productivity. Think of it as having a dedicated assistant who's already familiar with your preferences, knowledge, and working style. Remember earlier when we discussed how AI models are intentionally broad? Their versatility can lead to vague or inconsistent responses. This is where custom chatbots shine. A custom chatbot is an AI tool built for a specific purpose with predefined instructions and knowledge. This specificity reduces AI hallucinations, the plausible sounding but inaccurate information. By constraining an AI's focus with clear instructions, you improve accuracy within its designated domain. Custom chatbots can handle specific tasks, from answering company policy questions to brainstorming marketing ideas in your brand voice. As you create prime prompt templates, you're actually building the foundation for specialized AI assistants. The prime framework is perfectly suited for crafting effective chatbot instruction sets so you're already developing the necessary assets. A tip I've found helpful is to give your chatbots human names. It creates a sense of personality that makes the interaction more engaging. Presentation Persuader Paul, or Paul for short, is more memorable and fun than the Presentation Design Assistant Custom GPT. This becomes especially useful when you have several different chatbots for different purposes. To build effective chatbots, it helps to understand their key components. Instructions. These are the predefined rules and roles that guide how the chatbot responds. They're essentially permanent prompts that shape every interaction. This is where your prime framework prompts become incredibly valuable. They provide the structure for creating clear, effective instructions. Knowledge base. This is the information your chatbot can access. It could include documents, PDFs, or spreadsheets that contain things like your company handbook, client briefs, project histories, performance data, or any other reference materials relevant to the chatbot's purpose. A lot of the time, your examples, the E from the Prime framework, would be the first document in a knowledge base. Conversation interface. This is where you interact with the chatbot through a message thread, which provides additional context for each specific request. What makes custom chatbots so powerful is that they combine these elements to deliver consistent, specialized assistance without you having to repeat instructions or re-upload information. If you're using OpenAI's platform, custom chatbots are called custom GPTs, not to be confused with the underlying GPT models. Here's how to access and create them. First, you'll need a ChatGPT Plus subscription. Custom GPTs are a Plus exclusive feature. Then, when you're logged into your account, you click your user icon in the top right corner and select My GPTs. To create your own, select Create a GPT, and you'll be taken to a Builder interface. In the Builder, you'll see sections for name and description, what you'll call your GPT, and how you'll describe its purpose. Instructions, where you'll input your prime-based directions. Knowledge, where you can upload documents your GPT should reference. Capabilities, settings for what your GPT can do, web browsing, image generation, etc. Once configured, you can test your GPT in the preview window and make adjustments as needed. Then, when you're happy with the results, simply publish it to make it available for your use. It's worth noting that different AI platforms use different terminology. While OpenAI calls them GPTs, Anthropic's Claude calls them projects, and other platforms might have their own naming conventions. But regardless of what they're called, the fundamental concept remains the same: a custom AI with tailored instructions and knowledge. Let's see the real value of custom chatbots in action. I've created a custom GPT using the concepts we've been discussing. Meet Paul. He's designed specifically for presentation professionals who struggle with a common challenge: convincing clients to accept design best practices. To demonstrate, I'm going to show you what happens when I asked the exact same question to both a generic AI and to my friend Paul. The prompt I used was, my client wants to put their entire quarterly financial report on single slides with a tiny font. How can I convince them that this approach undermines their message? Here are the two responses. One came from a fresh AI chat thread with no special instructions, and one came from Paul. I realize there's a lot of text here, so I'll give you about 30 seconds to analyze these responses to see if you can figure out which one is Paul's. If you guessed that response B was Paul's, you're right. Let's analyze the key differences. Strategic framing. Paul structured the response as a comprehensive persuasion strategy with multiple steps, organizing the information in a way that helps the designer have a complete conversation with their client. The generic AI provided good points, but without a strategic framework. Expert knowledge. Paul cited specific presentation experts and referenced specific books. This specialized knowledge can give the designer credibility when speaking to clients. Business-oriented persuasion. Paul focused on connecting design choices to business outcomes and audience experience, explaining concepts like cognitive fatigue and information retention. This gives the designer compelling arguments beyond just, "It looks better." Client psychology. Paul began by acknowledging the client's likely intent behind wanting to include all the financial data, showing empathy and reducing potential resistance. This psychologically sophisticated approach helps prevent clients from becoming defensive. Final takeaway. Paul ended by offering clear next steps and direction on how to be positioned as a strategic partner rather than just someone critiquing the client's approach. The generic response isn't wrong. It provides reasonable advice about clarity and readability, but it lacks the strategic framework, expert citations, understanding of client psychology, and business context that make Paul's response so much more valuable to a presentation designer facing client resistance. Again, Paul was built using the PRIME framework. What makes him valuable isn't just that he knows presentation design principles. It's that he can help translate those principles into language that resonates with business clients, connecting design decisions to the outcomes clients actually care about. Beyond presentation design, there are countless other applications for custom chatbots, such as a company knowledge hub. Create a chatbot with access to your internal documentation, policies, and procedures. Team members can ask questions like, "What's our policy on client revisions?" or "Who handles billing approvals?" and get immediate answers without searching through documents. A client-specific assistant. Develop chatbots for each major client loaded with their brand guidelines, past project history, and strategic objectives. When working on their projects, you have an instant resource that understands their context. A personal productivity helper. Create a chatbot that knows your workflow preferences, common tasks, and productivity pain points. It could help you draft emails in your voice, prepare meeting agendas to your specifications, or organize your thoughts on projects. Think about your own work for a moment. What specific challenges do you repeatedly face that require specialized knowledge? How much context do you typically have to provide when asking for help with these challenges? What would it mean for your productivity if you had a chatbot built specifically for your most common scenarios? By investing time up front to create a specialized assistant using the PRIME framework, you can dramatically reduce the ongoing effort of providing context and improve the quality of solutions you receive. The real power comes when your chatbot starts saving you not just minutes, but hours each week on routine tasks, freeing you to focus on the creative and strategic work that truly requires your human expertise. Next, we need to address some important ethical considerations when using AI in creative work. Have you ever wondered if using AI to accomplish in minutes what once took hours is somehow cheating? If you used to spend a full day on a design brief and now you're done by lunch, should you feel guilty about that? If you've had these thoughts, you're definitely not alone. There's something almost unsettling about how easy AI can make work feel sometimes. But here's the reality: you're not cheating. There's a responsible way to use these tools that can actually elevate your work and future-proof your career, and that's what we need to discuss now. I want to share 2 principles that will help you navigate the ethics of AI-assisted design with confidence. The first principle is practice transparent attribution. Be clear about your process. This builds trust rather than suggesting shortcuts. When AI helps with research or ideation, simply say so. When you substantially modify AI-created drafts, acknowledge that collaboration. For example, imagine you're presenting design concepts to a client. Instead of hiding your process, you might say, I used AI to help explore different color palettes based on our research, which allowed me to create more comprehensive options for you to consider. Then I refined each one based on our brand guidelines and my understanding of your audience. This kind of transparency is professional and builds client trust. The second principle is reinvest time savings into quality and growth. This principle separates those who will thrive in an AI world from those who won't. When AI saves you time, what do you do with that extra capacity? The short-term thinking is to simply do less work for the same pay. The sustainable approach is to reinvest that time into making your work even better and developing skills AI can't replicate. For example, if you used to spend 8 hours on layout options and now spend 2, you could use those 6 hours to conduct deeper user research to inform your designs, create additional prototypes to test concepts, develop stronger strategic rationales for your design choices, learn new skills, spend more time understanding your client's business challenges. This approach transforms AI from a potential threat into a powerful tool that enhances the value you deliver. There are some additional ethical dimensions we need to address, particularly around the training data used to build these platforms and the rights of original creators. Most AI models are trained on massive data sets that include work created by human designers, artists, writers, and photographers, often without their explicit consent. This raises important questions about attribution, compensation, and the very definition of creativity. Many of you might feel conflicted about using tools that were trained on other creators' work without their explicit consent. This is a valid concern, and there are thoughtful approaches to navigating it. 1. Stay informed about ethical AI tools. Some newer models are being trained on properly licensed content or with clearer opt-out mechanisms. Support these when possible. 2. Use AI primarily for process work. Consider using AI for the less visible aspects of your workflow, organizing content, generating initial concepts to spark your own ideas, or handling repetitive tasks while applying your unique human creativity to the final design decisions. 3rd, advocate for better systems. Support initiatives pushing for creator compensation models, proper attribution systems, and consent mechanisms for training data. 4. Be transparent with clients. Discuss which aspects of your process involve AI assistance and which represent your original creative contribution. Finding your ethical balance is personal. There's no single right answer. Some people choose complete transparency about all AI usage, while others discuss tools only when relevant. What matters most is making choices that align with your personal values while delivering excellent work. Using AI doesn't diminish your value as a creative professional. The most powerful approach is viewing AI as an addition to your toolkit, one that handles certain tasks, while freeing you to focus on aspects requiring human judgment and emotional intelligence. These uniquely human qualities remain irreplaceable in an AI-augmented future. After today's session, you'll be receiving a PDF that recaps what we covered, including a handy cheat sheet for the Prime framework. As we wrap up today's session, let's take a moment to highlight the key concepts we've covered that will make your AI use more effective. 1. AI is a prediction machine that needs your expertise and guidance. 2. Working AI first can save you hundreds of hours annually. 3. Different AI platforms have different strengths. Choose the right one for each task. 4. The Prime framework helps you create effective prompts that get results. 5. Edit your prompts instead of replying for better, more efficient iterations. 6. Custom chatbots can transform specific workflows and increase your productivity. And 7, ethical AI use requires transparency and thoughtfulness. The real value comes when you move from understanding these concepts to actually implementing them in your daily work. Remember that mastering AI tools is a journey, not a destination. The most successful professionals are those who continuously experiment, learn, and refine their approach to working with AI. The frameworks and techniques we've covered today will serve as your foundation, but your own creativity and expertise will ultimately determine how you transform these tools into genuine advantages in your work. This isn't just about technology, it's about reclaiming your time and attention for the work that truly matters. Every task you successfully delegate to AI represents hours returned to your calendar and mental space freed from repetitive tasks. I encourage you to start small with something you can implement immediately, then build toward more sophisticated applications as your confidence grows. Consistent small steps often lead to the most sustainable transformations in how we work. With the foundation we've built today and the resources you will receive, you're now equipped to begin your journey toward more efficient, effective, and ethical AI use in your work. It's time to transform your relationship with AI, saving time, producing better work, and focusing your energy on the tasks where your human creativity and insight truly shine. Before we move to our Q&A session, I want to thank you all for your attention and participation today. The presentation you've experienced today is the result of an AI-first mindset. I'm a demonstration of what's possible. The PRIME framework and the techniques we've discussed, the words you've heard me say, the slides you've seen, and the challenges you've taken were created with the assistance of AI. From the content structure to the delivery itself, everything was developed through a collaborative process between the real Evan and AI tools. My hope is that the insights we've covered will help transform how you approach and execute your work. And even though the real Evan has been taking a nap this whole time, you still received the valuable information he wanted to share with you in a, hopefully, engaging way. Finally, I'd like to introduce you to the real Evan, who has been the creative force behind everything you've experienced today and who will be answering your questions. Take it away, Evan the human.